أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي ليس لأوليته ابتداء ولا لأزليته انقضاء وانحصرت الأوصاف عن كنه معرفته ورضعت عظمته العقول والذي لا تواري عنه سماء سماء ولا أرض أرضا ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيد البطحاء سيد المرسلين والأنبياء أبي القاسم محمد المصطفى
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى الجوهرة القدسية البتول العذراء سيدة النساء فاطمة الزهراء وعلى بعلها أمير المؤمنين وبنيها الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
لا سيما على بقية الله وحجته الكبرى الذي بيمنه رزق الورى وبوجوده ثبتت الأرض والسماء ولولاه لساخت الأرض بأهلها واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم وفرقانه المجيد ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
In these nights I've been talking about various values of the Holy Quran and Ahlulbayt alayhim salam. Last time I talked about the concept of tawakkul, and tonight is the turn for Etaam Ta'am. And if we can inshallah reach within the time, then I will also talk about Saqyul Ma. Etaam Ta'am means feeding the food. Feeding the food is the sign of a mu'min. A mu'min has three signs, and one of those three is Etaam Ta'am. That means he is willing to give away his food to others. And the other two signs are, which I will talk about those a little bit as well, inshallah. The other two are Ifsha'us Salam and As-Salatu Bil-Layl Wan-Nas Wan-Niyam. So we are going to come to that, inshallah. So this ayat of Holy Quran refers to the famous story that you all must have heard when Imam Ali alayhi salam and Sayyidah Fatima salamullahi alayha, Hassanain alayhi salam, and even Fidda salamullahi alayha, all of them were fasting for the sake of the shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 3 days. And at the time of breaking the fast, when they were about to break their fast, somebody knocks at the door and says that I'm a miskeen, destitute person. Miskeen in Islam is someone who is worse off than faqir. That means he's more financially broke than a quote-unquote Islamic definition of a faqir person. There's an Islamic definition for that. A faqir is somebody who is la yamliku ma'unatas sana, someone who does not have the expenses of 1 year of his necessities of life within the framework of his haysiyatun urfiyya, social status. But miskeen is someone who is more broke than that. Obviously, when we find someone who is more broke, it's our obligation to help as much as we can. Uh, if we feed a person who has the money to buy the food, you get the sawab, but the sawab is less because he could have purchased himself. But if you feed the food to a person who cannot afford the food, the sawab is unimaginably higher. It's not in our reach to imagine that and comprehend that, sawab. So a miskin person knocks at the door. Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, she prepared the bread. So one bread for each person. Imam Ali alayhi salam is the first one to give away his bread to the faqir, to the miskin person. Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam gives away, Hasanain alayhi salam give away their bread. Even Fidda salamullah alayha, their servant, she also gave away her bread. If a sinner like me was there, I would think how much bread one person is going to consume. Imam Ali has already given his bread, why should I? But this family is the family who are Ahlullah. They only bring into consideration the rida and pleasure of Allah. So everyone gave away their bread. They had nothing else to eat, drank the water, and next day they were fasting again, and a similar story was repeated that at the time of the iftar and the breads were made, another person knocks at the door and he says, "I am an orphan." Well, orphans have a lot of haqq in Islam. If you recall the story of Imam Rida alayhi salatu wassalam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Some of the Imams were in the state of khifa, whereas some of our 12 Imams were in the state of zuhur. Or scholars, our research scholars say, state of khifa is a state where the Imam gets very less exposure than what he deserves. And several Imams of ours are like that. They went through the state of khifa. Not that they didn't deserve the exposure, but this is the pathetic state of the Ummah, how they treated the Imams. And some of the Imams got more exposure than others relatively. Imam Rida alayhi salam is one of those few Imams who got more exposure. So this is one of the reasons why you find so many narrations are narrated about Imam Rida alayhi salam and narrated from him as well, his statements. So it's documented in our books that whenever the food was brought in front of Imam Rida alayhi salam, he used to take a plate or a dish, something, and gather the best of the foods from the food spread, put it in that plate or dish and send it to the poor people of the town first, before starting the food himself. This is the sunnah of Ahlulbayt. And he used to recite these ayat of Holy Quran, Surah Al-Balad. فَلَقْتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةَ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْعَقَبَةُ فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ أَوْ إِطْعَامٌ فِي يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ يَتِيمًا ذَا مَقْرَبَةٍ أَوْ مِسْكِينًا ذَا مَتْرَبَةٍ. So these verses of Quran are teaching us that he would not attempt to do the uphill task, uphill road. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْعَقَبَةُ. And what would make you understand what is the uphill road? فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ, setting free of a slave. أَوْ إِطْعَامٌ فِي يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ, or giving food in a day of hunger. These are hard things. People take it as hard things, so they avoid doing the hard things. You present a bunch of activities in front of the people, and some people tend to choose the simplest of the services they can do for Islam. Anything that they perceive to be hard, they try to avoid it. There are only few people who opt to go for the hard, seemingly hard things. This is one of those hard things, to give away your food to the hungry. Yatiman dha maqrabatin, a yatim person who is having a relationship with you. Every family has poor and rich. You can never find a family which is uniform in their financial status. How many of us are taking care of the yatim people and the poor people of our own families? If you recall, I mentioned in one of my previous speeches here that the whole concept of sadaqah in Islam starts with your own family, with your own relationship. يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ قُلْ مَا أَنْفَقْتُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ فَلِلْوَالِدَيْنِ. They ask you what they should spend. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding the Prophet to respond, قُلْ, say, that means tell them, مَا أَنْفَقْتُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ فَلِلْوَالِدَيْنِ. Whatever you give from the goodness is for the parents. In Islam, the sadaqah and charity starts from your father and mother. If your father and mother are in need, you're not supposed to give your money to other people. First things first. وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ, and then comes the relatives. وَالْيَتَامَى, and then the orphans. وَالْمِسْكِينِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ, and the miskin person and the wayfarer. Someone who's left during his travel, left out, stranded. So coming back to the point I was mentioning, next day a yatim person knocks at the door. So much sawab. I remember the story when the teacher of Imam Khomeini Ridwanullah alayhi, Sheikh Ha'iri. Sheikh Ha'iri is the founder of the Hawza of Qom. So he had no kids. Ayatullah al-Uzma, Sheikh Abdul Karim al-Ha'iri. He had no children. And he adopted a yatim person. Later on, Allah gave him a son. And Ayatullah said, Murtada Ha'iri. So he said to his son, whatever you purchase for yourself, make sure you purchase exactly the same thing for this orphan. Anything you purchase, you buy a cloth, you buy shoes, anything you buy, make sure you buy exactly the same for him. Don't make him feel that he has no father. So this is the reason he cannot afford to buy what you can buy. This is called doing the goodness in the nice way. There are several people who do good deeds, but there are some who do the good deeds in a nice way. Ikhbatul mukhbitin. So we have a concept of asa'usu. There are some people who do the bad things and they do it in a bad way. And there are some people who do the good deeds and they do it in a nice way. This is a nice way of taking of the orphan. You could have given any food to him, right? But the nice way of dealing with an orphan is that you treat him exactly equal, at least, if not higher, equal to your own kids. Not that we can dump our used stuff and used shoes and clothes to a yatim person and think that we did a great job. So my teacher Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli Hafidhahullah was saying in his tafsir that giving away your used things to a poor person is not Siratul Mustaqim. That's not Siratul Mustaqim. Siratul Mustaqim is giving away from what you love. So a yatim person knocks at the door. So much reward for feeding a yatim. The hadith teaches us if a yatim person wakes up in the middle of the night and starts crying because he's missing his father. But that's the definition of a yatim in Islam, right? In our fiqh. A yatim is a person who is non-baligh and you lose your father, even if your mother is there. So when a yatim person wakes up in the middle of the night and he remembers his father and he cries, the arsh of Allah shakes. So Imam Ali salam is the first person who gives away his bread to the yatim. The rest of the Ahlulbayt did the same, and Fidda salamullah alayha did the same. On the third, so they have nothing to eat. On the second day in a row, they drank water and fasted for the third day. And third day was an Asir's person who was a captive, recently freed from some captivity. And he knocks at the door, and again the same story is repeated. They all give away their bread. So this is called doing the good deed in a good way. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. The only, we are only feeding you for the sake of face of Allah, wajh Allah. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. We don't need from you any reward or any thankfulness. Some people expect to be recognized or at least thank you from the other person. He didn't even say thank you to me. Why are you expecting that? Yes, it's very good for the recipient to say thank you according to the Islamic akhlaq, correct. But from your perspective, you're not supposed to even expect. I had a teacher in the Hausa who, one of the teachers, he said that when you give away something to a mu'min, don't say, some people say, no, I don't need anything from you, I just need Tamasa dua, I just need your dua. So the teacher said that don't say that statement, because when you say that statement, you are settling for less. Giving a hadiyah to a mu'min has a lot of thawab. If you make his dua as if you think that that's the only reward you're expecting from him, then dua of a mu'min is not an equal to the reward that Allah has planned to give it to you. So don't even say that. At the time of giving the gift, just leave it open. Don't even say, I don't need anything except your dua. So as if you are making dua as the reward of what you're giving. That's not the right way of doing it. لَا إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ. We don't need from you any reward, nor the gratefulness. Highest, that's the peak of goodness that you see in the history of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam. So now let's go to some hadiths on the concept of Etaam al-Ta'am. Now, the first hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where the Prophet has said, Man inna fil jannati ghurafan. So in the paradise there are certain rooms which are, it's narrated in several ways. The same narration is narrated in different ways. There's a palace in paradise which is transparent. Yura batinuhu min zahirihi. Its inside is visible from the outside. And فَسَأَلْتُ جِبْرَائِيل لِمَنْ هَذَا الْقَصْرِ. I asked Jibreel, whom does this palace belong? And Jibreel replied back to me, لِمَنْ أَطَابَ الْكَلَامِ. This palace belongs to the person who has tibul kalam, nice way of talking. Atab al-kalam, somebody who talks in the nice way. Liman atab al-kalam wa adam as-siyam. Someone who always fasts. Siyam al-dahr, what we call in ilm al-akhlaq, fasting throughout your life. Fasting throughout your life means at least if you fast for 3 days in a month, it's counted to be fasting for the whole month. And if we do that regularly every month, it's counted to be fasting throughout the year, right? Ayatollah Baqir al-Sadr rahmatullah alayhi had Siyam al-Dahr, fasting throughout. Obviously, we can't fast in the days we say it's haram or makruh. We are not supposed to do that. But the rest, he was Sa'imud Dahr. So this palace belongs to the person who has Tibul Kalam, means nice way of talking to people, and Dawamu Siyam wa Adama Siyam. He continues to fast. Wa At'amat Ta'am, and he gives away his food. Wa Tahajjada Bil-Layl wa Nasu Niyam, and he performs Tahajjud, the night prayers, when the rest of the people are sleeping. So, listen to these, there's so much to learn. Another hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, Man ashba'a mu'minan wajabat lahul jannah. Whoever gives that much food to a mu'min person, that he gets full. Paradise is wajib for him. That means he deserves the paradise. Also, that it is said that man at'ama mu'minan hatta yushbi'ahu lam yadri ahadun min khalqillah ma lahu min al-ajr. Whoever feeds a mu'min so he makes him full, no one among the creatures of Allah knows how much is the reward for that. La malakun muqarrab, no close angel of Allah, no close angel, wala nabiyyun mursal, nor any prophet that is sent, illallah, except Allah, the Lord of universe, knows the reward. وَمِنْ أَحَبِّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِشْبَاءُ جُوعَةِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. Among the most beloved things and the actions in the eyes of Allah is feeding the hunger of a mu'min, وَتَنْفِيسِ كُرْبَتِهِ, and helping him in his hardship, setting him free of his pain and suffering and hardship. وَقَضَاءِ دَيْنِهِ, fulfilling his, paying off his loan. If you can pay off the loan of some mu'min, help him in his hard times, and give him the food. So these are three of the most beloved things in the eyes of Allah. Also, it says that خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ أَطْعَمَ الطَّعَامَ, the best among you is the one who give food to others. Eating the food doesn't make us human being, doesn't distinguish us that we are humans from the rest of the creatures. Even the animals consume food, the insects consume food, the birds, the fishes, the beasts, the wild animals, even the angels have their food, right? If you remember the hadith where someone asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Hamalatul Arsh ma ta'amuhum wa sharabuhum. What's the food and drink of the carriers of the throne, carriers of the Arsh of Allah? And Prophet said, Ta'amuhum tasbih wa sharabuhum tahleel. Their food is tasbih, glorifying Allah, and their drink is tahleel. Tahleel means saying La ilaha illallah. Those angels who are carrying the Arsh of Allah, they also consume food and drink. What is their food and drink? Just doing the tasbih of Allah, glorifying Allah from the sifatul makhluqeen, any and every attribute of the creatures, and everything that people associate as partners with Allah, and all the sifatul qabiha, all the condemned attributes. We glorify Allah from all that. That's the meaning of tasbih. Holding Allah and believing in Allah, being munazzah and above and beyond all these. So that tasbih is their food and tahleel is their drinks. Even shaitan had food, right? When shaitan asked Allah, Ma min khalqin illa wa ja'alta lahu rizqan, there isn't any creature except you provided a sustenance for him. Fama rizqi, what's my food? And Allah said, Ma lam yuzkar alayhi ismi, something upon which my name is not mentioned. So if we eat the food and we don't say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, shaitan is eating with us. That's the food of shaitan. So coming back to the point I was saying is that Prophet says, Khairukum man at'ama ta'am. The best one amongst you is the one who gives away the food. Eating food doesn't distinguish us to be human being. A whole bunch of other creatures also have their own food that they consume for themselves. What makes us human is we are ready to give away the food. Wa afsha salam. Ifsha'u salam means you expressly say the salam, not in a hesitant, a reluctant way, sounding to be reluctant. You expressly say the salam, and in Islam we initiate the salam on others. Sunnat of Rasulullah, even towards the kids, he always used to say, this is a sign of tawadu and modesty. If you are reluctant in saying the salam on others, there is something gone wrong in me, in my tawadu, that I'm not ready to initiate the salam on others. وَصَلَّى وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٍ. So the best amongst you is the one who gives away the food and expressly says the salam and prays while the rest of the people are sleeping. Also, it says that أَرْبَعٌ مَنْ أَتَى بِوَاحِدَةٍ دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ. There are four things. Whoever performs one of those enters the paradise. What are those four things? مَنْ سَقَى حَامَةً ضَامِئَةً. Someone who feeds a person who is thirsty. Well, water is something that we need to give to everyone. Everyone means even the kuffar harbiyin, even those who are kafir harbi. Our fiqh divides the kuffar into kafir zimmi, ahl zimma, and kafir harbi. Providing water is something for everyone, even the animals. If you remember, in a narration which is narrated by Sahib al-Jawahir, rahmatullah alayh. Jawahir is the biggest book of our fiqh, 56 volumes, biggest encyclopedia of the fiqh in the history. Sahib al-Jawahir in his book narrates this hadith that Prophet, when he went on Mi'raj and he was in the paradise, he saw a woman who committed zina inside Jannat. And Prophet was surprised on that. And Prophet was told that this woman, the reason why she is sent to the paradise by Allah is because she was in a desert and no one else was there. She found a thirsty dog. She wanted to give water to that. She has no bowl to put in the nearby well. What she did is she took off her clothes, she dipped into the well and then squeezed the clothes into the mouth of the dog. So this is Sahib al-Jawahir. Jawahir al-Kalam has narrated the hadith. So even giving water to a dog is so much beloved in the eyes of Allah. Imam Ali did not stop water on the soldiers of Muawiyah, who were, all of them were kuffar, right? He called them kuffar of Bani Umayyah. So no one can put a ban on water on anyone. So Arba'un man ata bi wahidatin dakhala al-jannah. There are four attributes. Anyone who can do one of those four enters the paradise. One is feeding a person who is thirsty. Ashba'a kabidan ja'i'a. Someone who gives food to a hungry person. Or kasa jildatan ariya. Someone who gives clothes a person who has nothing to wear. Or a'taqa raqabatan aniya, or someone who sets free a slave. Also, it's narrated that Rasulullah gathered his family members, Banu Abdul Muttalib, So all the children of his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib alayhi salam. And he said, Prophet said, Ya Bani Abdul Muttalib, O the children of Abdul Muttalib, Afshu Salam, expressly say the salam, Wasilul Arham, stay in touch with the relatives, Wa Tahajjadu, Wa Nasuniyam, do Tahajjud, when the rest of the people are sleeping. May Allah give us the tawfiq to do all that. وَأَطْعِمُ الطَّعَامَ, and give away the food. وَأَطِيبُ الْكَلَامِ, and have nice talk. That means when you talk, you need to have tibul kalam, ityabul kalam. Ityabul kalam means nicely talking to the people. You can say one thing in 10 different ways. Some of those are insultive, some of those are not so respectful, some of those are respectful ways of saying. So nicely talking to the people. Tadkhulul jannata bisalam, you would enter the paradise with peace. So Prophet was traveling on his animal. Someone came and grabbed the reins of the animal of the Prophet and asked Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, Ayyul a'mali afdal. Look at the modesty of the Prophet. Anybody can come and talk to him, that easily ask questions, he's easily available. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, which of the actions is the most superior in the eyes of Allah? And Prophet said, Etaam ta'am wa ityabul kalam. That means feeding the food and nicely talking. This is the most important and most superior things. So another hadith teaches us, Man ashba'a ja'i'an ujriya lahu nahrun fil jannah. Whoever feeds a hungry person, a fountain is flown for him inside the paradise. So you are the owner of a fountain in paradise if you feed a mu'min person, a hungry person. And this makes us remember the fact of the matter that all the teachings of Islam, ahkam of Islam, are takwiniya. Laha asarun takwiniya. All the actions of all our ahkam of the Sharia have takwini impacts, real-time, real-world impacts in the world of existences. So, if you remember the story when Prophet was in paradise on Mi'raj and he saw a bunch of angels were constructing a palace, and then they used to stop, then again they started to construct, again they used to stop. And then, so Prophet was told that the reason why these angels stop in the middle of construction is that the material, construction material, has to arrive from this dunya. So when we do the good deeds, the material is received. They start constructing the palace. If we stop doing the good deeds, there is no construction material. They stop constructing the palace for us. The big person is not the one who has a huge house, a mansion in this world. The big person is the one who has a big palace in paradise. That's the real sign of a big person, right? Man at'ama salasatan min al-muslimin ghafarallahu lahu. Whoever feeds 3 people among the Muslims, Allah forgives him. Man at'ama ashratan min al-muslimin. Whoever feeds 10 people among the Muslims, awjiballahu lahu al-jannah. Allah makes paradise wajib for him. Man at'ama ta'aman ri'a'an wa sum'atan. Whoever feeds the food for the sake of showing off. The showing off is of 2 types in ilm al-akhlaq. One is called riya. And there's a difference between riya and sum'ah. And this is science of Islamic morality. So riya means showing off. So somebody performs an action to show off for ghayrullah, anyone or anything other than Allah. So this is called riya. And sum'ah is that somebody performs an action and he wants to make it heard to the people that he's the one who did it. Whoever feeds the food for the sake of riya or sum'ah, showing off, or to make it heard to the people that he's the one who is feeding the food, أطعمه الله من صديد جهنم. Allah will make him eat from the food of Jahannam. These are all takwini. These are all asarun takwiniya. These are, if we do a bad deed, it has an inbuilt impact, which is irreversible on its own. Unless if Allah's lutf comes and extra mercy comes and Allah reverses it, that's a different story. But otherwise, it immediately happens. If you find there are urafa present here, they can actually see the flames of fire. The fire spitting out of the mouths of those people who do ghibat, tuhmat, namima, and so on and so forth through their tongue. They can see the fire. They can smell the bad odor. Every good deed has a good scent in the soul, adds into the scent of the soul. Every bad deed adds into a bad odor into our soul. Again, we don't see, we don't feel. That's a different story because we are covered in those hijabat of sins. Those who have the cleanliness of the soul have no hijabat. They can see these things. They can feel all these things. So, coming back to the point, man at'ama ta'aman ri'a'an wa sum'atan. Whoever feeds food for the sake of riya or sum'ah, Allah will make him eat from the food of paradise. وَجَعَلَ ذَلِكَ الطَّعَامَ نَارًا فِي بَطْنِهِ. And that food will be made fire in his stomach. حَتَّى يُقْضَى بَيْنَ النَّاسِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Or حَتَّى يَقْضِي. You can read it both ways grammatically. حَتَّى يَقْضِي بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. Until Allah is done with making his decisions on the Day of Judgment. So, and also the hadith teaches us الرزق أسرع إلى من يطعم الطعام من السكين في السنام. That's another beautiful aspect to learn as we are talking about the concept of feeding food tonight. So the hadith teaches us that feeding the food provides risk to the giver of the food faster than you can poke your knife into the hump of a camel. Hump of a camel has a lot of fat in it. If you poke your knife, dagger into the hump of it, can go so smooth and swift. Because you're not talking about bones that can resist, it's a fat area and go easily. Risk and sustenance coming to the giver of the food is faster than the movement of the knife in the hump of a camel. Also, yukrahu ijabatu man yushhid or yashhad walimat al-aghniya dun al-fuqara. In the hadith of the Prophet, he says it's makruh. That means Allah dislikes it. It's disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept an invitation of food where only the rich are invited, not the poor. That's disliked by Allah. We are not supposed to be part of these kinds of gatherings. If you recall the famous story of Munzir ibn Jarud, right? Governor of Imam Ali alayhi salam, who attended the gathering. Imam Ali sent a message for him, which is there in Nahj al-Balagha. Ma adhannuka, I never thought, I don't think you would attend a gathering where, a'ilahum mad'u, a'ilahum majfu, wa ghaniyuhum mad'u, where the rich people are blocked and the poor people are, the rich people are invited and the poor people are blocked out from that gathering. So that's makruh in Islam, disliked by Allah. And the Prophet has said to Abu Dhar in his wasaya, advices, all of them are great. Every hadith of Prophet is great, but specifically the advices to Abu Dhar, we consider it to be a little bit more valuable because of the fact that Abu Dhar belongs to the 9th level of Iman, and they used to talk to everyone according to their mental levels. So what Prophet is talking to Abu Dhar is something really higher and more valuable, because he was ready to accept and practice. He's not talking in just an open gathering in a bunch of thousands of companions where you find every kind of people in gatherings usually. So Prophet said to Abu Dhar, "At'im ta'amaka, aw at'im at-ta'am man tuhibbuhu fillah," means feed your food to the one whom you love for the sake of Allah. So if a person belongs to a higher level, he loves people for the sake of Allah, and he hates people for the sake of Allah. We are supposed to love and hate, hub and bughd, tawalli and tabarri, which is the same concept available even in the animals in the form of jazb and dafa, attractive and repulsive forces. Shaheed Mutahari had his beautiful book, Jazibe wa Dafi wa Ali, polarizations, translated as polarization and the personality of Imam Ali, one of my favorite books. So jazb and dafr, these attractive and repulsive forces, appear in human beings in the form of hub and bughd, which we also call that the same thing related is tawalli and tabarri. So we feed our food to those people whom we love for the sake of Allah. And وَقُلْ ta'ama man yuhibbuka fillah, and eat the food of the person who loves you for the sake of Allah. You feed your food to the person whom you love for the sake of Allah, and you eat the food of that person who loves you for the sake of Allah. What a great and valuable advice. Now, if we are invited, what are we supposed to do? We are talking about a mu'min person inviting, right? So we are supposed to accept. We are not supposed to reject a nice mu'min who is inviting us. That's wrong. This is considered to be min al-jafa. Jafa means su'ul adab, means bad ethics. It's part of the bad ethics that أن يدعى الرجل إلى طعام فلا يجيب. A person is invited for food and he does not accept, doesn't go, doesn't accept. أو يجيب فلا يأكل, or he goes there, he accepts an invitation, goes there, but he doesn't eat. That's not good. We need to eat something. Also, it's there that man bata shab'anan وبحضرته مؤمن جائع طاو قال الله عز وجل ملائكتي أشهدكم على هذا العبد إني قد أمرته فعصاني وأطاع غيري ووكلته إلى عمله. That's the worst that can happen to us. وَكَّلْتُهُ إِلَىٰ عَمَلِهِ وَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي لَا غَفَرْتُ لَهُ أَبَدًا. So this hadith teaches us another great set of information, is that Allah, Imam Sajjad says, whoever sleeps with his stomach full and next to him is a mu'min who is hungry, Allah says to the angels, I make you a witness that this servant, I commanded him, but he sinned against me. وَأَطَعَ غَيْرِي, and he obeyed someone other than me, and I submitted him to his own action. وَكَّلْتُهُ إِلَىٰ عَمَلِهِ. In the dua of the Prophet, he had prayed, Ilahi, أو اللهم وترضي مني لا تكلني إلى نفسي. It's narrated لا تكلنا as well. لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا, and also narrated لا تكلني إلى نفسي. Don't submit me to my own self. طرفة عين أبدا, for the blinking of an eye. If Allah submits us, Prophet is not ready to accept that Allah submits the charge of affairs of his life to the control of the Prophet himself. Prophet wants the charge of affairs of his life should be in the hands of Allah always, not in the hands of the Prophet, even for the blinking of an eye. And here in the Western world, there are some people who say, if you feel like doing it, just do it. So we don't decide nothing of our decisions of life. Decisions of our life are already decided by Allah. We come to the masjid to learn the decisions decided by Allah, those values, so that we can implement. Allah, our Creator, already has. We are not supposed to submit ourselves to our own will and wishes and whims and likenesses. That's the worst that can happen to a human being, that he is submitted to his own desires. So, وَوَكَّلْتُهُ إِلَىٰ عَمَلِهِ, I have submitted him to his action, and I swear to my dignity and majesty that I will never forgive him. So there is no room in Islamic moral system that we can eat, we can sleep with stomach full while next to us is another mu'min who is hungry. That never happened in the life of the Prophet. He was always in the story of Ayatollah al-Uzma Syed Qadi rahmatullah alayh. So Syed Qadi rahmatullah alayh was in Najaf. He used to teach in Al-Masjid al-Hindi in the old city of Najaf. There were selected few people who used to show up. So there were some people who used to oppose ilm al-irfan and falsafa a lot. Some people even used to call these falasifa and urafa as kafir. He was less recognized by the people. They don't need recognition from the people. They need Allah recognizes them, and that's enough for them. Imam Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam recognizes them, and that's enough for them. There were a selected few people who used to go to his Salat al-Jama'at. He used to recite Salat al-Jama'at at the beginning time always. And in his fatwa, the Salat al-Maghrib was sooner than the Ra'y al-Jumhur, sooner than the mainstream opinion. The mainstream opinion of our Maraji about Maghrib is different than the fatwa of Sayyid Qadi. So there were so many reasons why there were less people behind him. So, but there were very great personalities who benefited from him. This one of the greatest arifs of our history, including Allama Tabatabai, and the list goes on, and Sayyid Hashim al-Haddad. This goes on and on and on. And there's so many people who are not even known to us. So many whom we don't even know, because they don't want anyone to know them or recognize them. So one of his students narrates, and I was so poor that I only had some change remaining in my pocket, which can suffice to buy one bread for tonight. I had nothing more than that. So I went into the lesson of Sayyid Qadi. We are talking about Etaam tonight, giving food to others. So Sayyid Qadi rahmatullah alayhi was delivering his lecture, and all of a sudden a miskeen person walks in. So Sayyid Qadi turned to me and said, these Urafa have no hijabat, they know all these things, right? They know how much money you have in your pocket. So this student said, Sayyid Qadi, our teacher, he directly turned to me and said, do you have something in your pocket? And I said, I put my hand in my pocket, I had some change sufficing for one bread only, not more than that. And I just gave it to my teacher. And the teacher gave that much money to the poor miskeen person. He went away. So after the lesson, he said, all the students left, so I also left. And I started to prepare for my lesson tomorrow. I have nothing to eat. obviously a person is disturbed. There's nothing to eat for that night. So he said at that time, Shaitan started to bring waswasa, deceptions in my mind. And then someone knocks at my door. So I found the teacher is standing there with the food. So he brought some nice food for me. And he came inside. He brought the food. This is the lutf, and these are the the special tawajjuh and attention they have towards all of their students. Urafa usually handpick their students. It's not an open door thing of Irfan. They select their students. So, although he himself was very poor in his entire life, one of the students, before I come to the end, let me mention this story as well. One of the students of his tells the story that so a person came to Sayyid Qadi and complained that I need some money. I have nothing to buy the grocery for my house. So he put his hand in his pocket and he gave some change to him. And he said, don't count. He said, I took the change, I put it in my pocket, I did not count. So I went to the market, I put my hand in the pocket, purchased the grocery, things that I needed, put the hand, I gave away the money. Every time, every day, for so many days, it happened that I wanted to go to buy things. I just put my hand in the pocket, took out the money, and I used to give. The money never ended. Karamat. Money never ended. Until Shaitan brought this thought in my mind, what's wrong if you count it? Let's see how much is remaining. And he said, on that day, I put my hand and I took out the money and I counted, and after that the money ended. So when these urufas say something, it carries a lot of weight. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the tawfiq for Etaam al-Ta'am and Ifsha al-Salam and Tahajjud bil-Layl wal-Nas wal-Niyam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين واقتل الكفار والمنافقين. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل المسلمين. اللهم انصر واحفظ وأيد علماءنا الربانيين ومراجعنا الربانيين، لا سيما الولي الفقيه قائد المسلمين. اللهم انصر جيوش المسلمين وعساكر الموحدين. اللهم فك عن الأسراء المسلمين. اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى، وعجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان، واجعلنا من أنصاره وأشياعه وأتباعه وأعوانه بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. Let's read the Ayat al-Karima 5 times for all the mu'mineen and mustada'afeen and mahrumeen and mazlumeen, especially Sheikh Zakzaki, his wife, all those mu'mineen who are in the prisons of Nigeria, those sisters and brothers who are in the prisons of Bahrain, Sheikh Salman, Ayatollah Isa Qasim, all those mu'mineen who are in the prisons of Hijaz, prisons of Pakistan, those innocent people who are in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, elsewhere in the world, for all of them, especially those who are sick, those who have requested for dua. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. One Surah Al-Fatiha for all the Shuhada of Islam.